Have you ever had someone who advocated for you when it seemed like no one cares? My high school math teacher, Dr. Nathan Hamblin, chose to stay in a small school district when he could have been a professor at a college university. He chose to use his doctorate and influence to advocate for rural schools. He may not be a community hero, but his support helped dozens of high school kids to pass complicated math classes and succeed. He helped me personally to actually understand math in a way I never could before. For someone who has little patience, especially for herself, his calm demeanor and interesting teaching strategies really forced me not to give up. His support meant everything to me and many other students he taught. Dr. Hamblin used many hours of his personal time and vacation time to go and advocate for rural schools like ours. He was incredibly approachable even during class. If you were off task, he did not raise his voice or humiliate you in front of the class, which is what many teachers do at times. He made sure we were working, but treated us as people, not as drones. Hamblin did not just advocate for rural schools. He made sure that each of us was on the right track. Many times he sat with me and looked over potential colleges that would best fit me and my major. If you asked him questions about what to expect in the future, he always tried to answer to the best of his ability. As an educator, he was irreplaceable. Dr. Hamblin used many hours of his personal time and vacation time to go and advocate for rural schools like ours. Many occasions in class, we would be given a website that was either relevant to our future or the future of rural schools. He would ask us to write about it, either following a prompt or free writing. At times, the website or blog we looked at was an article he had written on the advocacy for rural schools that he wanted the class to review. He valued our input and asked the very school that qualified for his rural school advocacy to review his work. A coworker reveals, "I was well aware of his advocacy for rural schools. I was able to read his dissertation prior to him completing it at various stages. He shared his blog with colleagues and offered links to important articles, conferences, etc., pertaining to rural education." Dr. Hamblin was incredibly approachable even during class. If you were off task, he did not raise his voice or humiliate you. He made sure that we were working, but he made the class enjoyable. He often made funny memes and jokes for the beginning of each new chapter. Many were of him specifically. He used his knowledge and many years of teaching expertise to make the class functional but not stuffy. Jackson says, "What stood out to me specifically was his love for teaching. You could tell he loved what he was doing. What also stuck out for me was his love for math. Dr. Hamblin always enjoyed teaching. You could tell that he got excited when we would get to some of his favorite problems to solve." Hamblin did not just advocate for rural schools. He always tried to be the most impactful and amazing teacher that I've ever had. In an interview with a student, Jackson says, "With my experiences as a student of his, I knew I could always go to him and ask any kind of question that my mind could come up with. He helped many students find their dream school and helped them along the way with any questions that was produced during the application process. I knew I could always go to Hamblin if I had a question about the college classes I was taking." It was not uncommon to see Mr. Hamblin staying late after the school day to help students who needed tutoring. He went above and beyond his duty as a teacher every day. Advocating for a subject like rural schools may seem so insignificant, but it is an incredible way to support a small community like mine. Dr. Hamblin is not only incredible as an educator, but also as a person. Sometimes the people that help us the most are not the most well known. Dr. Hamblin was more than just a teacher I had in high school. His influence helped me find my way through a time where it seemed like I was being pulled everywhere at once. His approachable nature and willingness to help made him a great person and a fantastic educator. His advocacy may have impacted my small community in ways we will never realize and will never be able to repay. As a student in a graduating class of 75 people, being seen was unavoidable. But knowing that there was a teacher behind us who cared and offered more than he knew, it made a great difference.